Well, that didn't last long. On January 1st, Mitt Romney, a man so stiff you could iron a shirt on him, bashed the president in the Washington Post. Remember that? You know the drill. Trump's rude, he lacks character, and so on. It could have been written on January 1st, 2018, or 2017, or hell, 1517. If the definition of insanity is complaining about something that will never change. Mitt's finally made it to the loony bin, and he was helped by a media acting like that blast from the past who indulges unhappy exes. See, Mitt's still mad about Trump, and the Washington Post and CNN will let him cry on their shoulder as long as it's done in public and that he pays for the dry cleaning. It's tempting for Mitt. It feels good to get hugs from a media that once branded you a sexist bully who hurts dogs and kept women in binders. A press that joined Obama's dry laugh when Mitt said, just maybe Russia is a problem. But this attention is just strange new respect that's gone by tomorrow. The media may pretend to like you because you hate Trump, but they're just using you. Don't forget, the media was brutal to Mitt, too, as they are to anyone right of Castro. And if Trump hadn't won, had it been Rubio or Bush, you think they would have been spared? Jeb would be called a warmonger and Rubio a misogynist. To the press, the only acceptable Republican is an ex-Republican. His name is Joe Scarborough, and nobody cares. So, Mitt, that warm glow you feel from the left isn't true love. It's a bug zapper. They'll pull you in as long as you diss Trump, but only until it's time for them to fry your ass. So, Jesse, welcome back.
Thank you.
Theories on this? Why is he doing this? I thought it's because he's going to challenge Trump, but then I heard that he said on CNN that he has no interest in that.
Yeah, I mean, he might flip-flop on that. He has flip-flopped in the past. I mean, we get it, Mitt. You have great character. You drink milk. You don't curse. Like, it's clear. You're a Mormon. You go to church every Sunday. You're perfect. We get that. You're becoming a scold now, though,
yes,
a little bit, and it's turning people off. The guy, you know, and I voted for him in two primaries, in 2008, in 2012 in the Republican primaries, but he just has awkward political instincts, and he does things in self-serving ways. I think, remember, he, like, changed his position on abortion, the individual mandate, immigration. In the 1980s, he says he wasn't a Reagan Republican. I think at one point he was pro-Trump, then he was anti-Trump, and things keep changing. Look at what happened when he ran against Barack Obama. I mean, he let this guy smear his business acumen, coming from Barack Obama, who is an economic illiterate, let that get away, and then did not go for the jugular in the debate over Benghazi when he had him on the ropes and let that slide. And his timing is terrible. It's like he dusted off a Never Trump op-ed from the summer of 2016 and sent it off to the newspaper. This guy he's not trying to primary Donald Trump. You're joining a club. The Senate is a club. You're trying to get along, and he's making it about himself. And I know Mitch McConnell's sitting there rolling his eyes, watching Romney come in and hot dog on the first day. Meanwhile, these guys, you know, just confirm more Kavanaughs, keep the government open, and build the wall. That's all the voters really care about.
All right, so Dan and Marie, I want to get you in, but first, can I play Donald Trump's response to Mitt Romney from today?
I wish Mitt could be more of a team player. You know, I'm surprised he did it this quickly. I was expecting something, but I was surprised he did it this quickly. But I am surprised because we've done a lot. And he actually says it. I read his op-ed. If he fought really hard against President Obama, like he does against me, he would have won the election.
All right, Dan, I'm sure you have very, very soft opinions about this topic.
I'm pretty pissed about this.
Yes.
What a fraud. I mean, I don't know about the Twitter thing, but I was on Twitter on the plane.
Yeah.
Like on the plane filleting this fraud. Mm-hmm. You know, character? So let me get this straight. He goes out, he viciously attacks Donald Trump in that initial speech. After, by the way, seeking his support when he was running for president, fillets him in this disingenuous speech, then goes up to Bedminster and goes up for an interview for a cabinet position, then has the famous dinner in New York. In other words, all of a sudden, this guy he had character with, when a job was sitting in front of him, this big phony fake, this guy's a total hoax. He's the biggest fraud in politics. What does he do? He immediately, no, I'm sorry, he is. And he deserves to be called out for the fraud that he is. You wanted a job once you could catch a paycheck and some power back from the president? And by the way, who has more character? After Trump got filleted by this idiot in this speech, I'm sorry, but I'm really pissed about this topic. Because I'm tired of this guy, because he represents every single thing wrong with these swamp rodents that have screwed up the country, that only care about their darn selves. I'm sorry. This guy's a clown. No one should take this guy seriously. He's a joke. Trump gave him a second and a third chance, and he still screwed him over in the end. That's the kind of guy Romney is.
All right, Marie, I know you agree with everything Dan just said, so we can just skip on. I'll go to Kennedy. No.
So the challenge is Donald Trump actually needs to care what Mitt Romney thinks, because he needs every vote in the Senate to keep confirming judges like Jesse is so focused on, and he actually will need every Republican vote. I think that Mitt Romney, who I worked on the 2012 campaign. All of my friends from that campaign are like, God, now we have to talk about Mitt Romney again. We thought we dealt with that 6 years ago. But, he, I think, genuinely believes this. He is a person who seems to be, from afar, a good person, a family man, someone who has morals and cares about them in public life. And
you didn't say that when you're running against him.
You
went after him over a dog.
You will not be able to find a quote from me that talks about his character. And I think that he genuinely believes this. And the bigger point, Dan, isn't whether or not you like what he's saying or if this is the right thing to do. And quite frankly, I don't care what he writes in an op-ed. I care what he does in the Senate. And so for Republicans, you all will care if he votes with Trump. For Democrats, we will care if he stands up to Trump like Jeff Flake at times did, Bob Corker at times did. But Republicans should not. You should take these voices in the party seriously. They have genuine arguments with the president's behavior. They're not ridiculous arguments.
But the thing is, okay, Kennedy, the behavior that he's referring to is now going on its third year.
Right,
We've all come to grips with it. We now look at the deeds and not the words. And Romney was saying, oh, he had a bad month. To a lot of people, it was a good month because he's pulling 2,000 troops out of Syria. I mean, there are people that believe that is actually a good month.
Yeah, and there are people who believe that will show that we shouldn't be in the Middle East in the first place. But let's talk about Mitt Romney, because that's all Mitt Romney wants to do right now. And to any incoming freshman senator, I would say, put up and shut up. We don't really want to hear about your feelings and how you have the vapors and you're offended by someone's narcissism whose behavior really hasn't changed. But the interesting thing about Mitt Romney is you could argue that President Trump is a result of Mitt Romney's failure, because politics, especially when it comes to the presidency, tends to be a reaction. The pendulum swings, and you have very opposite people, especially after a two-term president, who inhabit the White House. All you have to do is look at, Clinton to Bush, and this is just in the modern era, and then to Obama. Obama was the opposite of George W. Bush for a lot of people, even independents and some Republicans. And now Donald Trump is the exact opposite of President Obama. If Mitt Romney had won in 2012, there wouldn't be a President Trump right now. And that's what he has to internalize. And if you have a problem with him, and this is where I have a little bit more respect for people like Lindsey Graham and Rand Paul, go with specifics. If you have a policy issue, talk about that and dissect it, because that's where you can have the bigger influence.
Because Graham and Trump never got along. Remember, they hated each other in the primary, and Trump, I think, gave his cell phone number out to humiliate him. And now Graham's dining with the president almost every day, trying to cajole him into policy changes. Because you know what? Trump likes sugar. If you're going to antagonize them like the Flakes and the Kasichs and the Romneys, you're just going to get punched in the mouth, and it's going to get ugly. If you try to, warm up to them and try to move them in the right direction on policy, that works.
It doesn't work either. Graham has had no impact on Donald Trump's foreign policies at all.
I disagree. Look at what happened with Syria. Now he's easing the withdrawal out.
Let's see if he does.
He's actually committed a lot less troops now after he spoke to Graham.
Let's see if he does. But the Republican Party is in an inflection point, as is the Democratic Party. And if there isn't room for a Mitt Romney in Donald Trump's party, that is a problem nationally.
No, the party has passed him, though. I mean, I would argue that the party has passed establishment Republicans like Mitt Romney. It is a constant evolution.
Right.
That's the other thing. It's like the Nancy Pelosi's of the world stand in stark contrast to the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's.
AOC.
That's right, baby. It doesn't mean that the new generation is better than the one they're passing, but that's how the system works.
All right. And the one thing I wanted to talk about, we don't have time, is how Trump has an effect on everybody's family. It disrupts families. And again, even with Mitt's family, with his niece, what's her name? Ronna? Ronna coming out and basically calling him a first-time Democrat. What's the
incoming freshman senator.
Which was hilarious.
She's out of the will.
Yes, she's out of the will.